Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Narc Free Formula. My name is Freedom. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode, one sec. Sorry. Today's episode is about old supply versus new supply, and is in response to a client of mine who is in the situation where the narcissist went off with new supply and has now returned. Returned long enough to get sex, cause more hurt, and fuel himself, and then to go back to the new supply again. So I want to talk about this because I think that a lot of people get the idea that narcissists go through these cycles in relationships, so situationships. So they idealize, put you up on the pedestal. They devalue, knock the pedestal out from underneath you, replace and then discard you. But the thing is, when we see it happening to the new supply, them going through the same cycle, what we often forget is that the narcissist hasn't changed. Just because they are now devaluing the person that they once idealized does not mean that they are changed, does not mean that they're going to come back to you. And even if they do, it certainly doesn't mean that there's going to be a happy ending for you guys. So this is, like I said, this is for the people that are waiting for things to go bad with the new supply, because you're waiting for the devaluation to start and then the discard to start, and then you're thinking that he's just going to fall back into your arms and you're going to be reunited and things will be like they used to be. Darlings, none of that is going to happen. Well, actually, rephrase, some of that will happen. He may definitely tumble back down your way, for sure. But it's not because of love. It's because there's a need. There's a need to have his fuel supply topped up. There's a need for sex. There's a need for someone to be admiring him. And you are so easy because, your former supply. He knows how to make you work. He's got it all sussed out. There's a previous connection already there. It is so much easier to get fuel from you than it is to get it from finding new supply. Because you've got to remember, new supply becomes just primary supply, which then, as I said, becomes outdated, and the narcissist will start looking for new supply. So the woman that he left you for, or the woman that he hooked up with, 2 weeks or 6 weeks, 2 days after you guys broke up, that woman, the one that he put up on the pedestal, that woman will be discarded just like you were, devalued and discarded just like you were. That's just what narcs do. But I guarantee you, if you plan on being the one that he falls back on, so if, for example, if you are the one that's friends with the ex, if you are the one who takes his phone calls when he's having a hard time, and you listen to him complaining about the new supply and blah, 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 if you're that person, I guarantee you he will use you until the day you die or the day you say no. You have to remember, this is what they do. They use people. It's not about love. It's not about loyalty. It's not about commitment. It's not about you guys having a bond or a connection. It's purely because you picked up the phone, you told him what he wanted to hear, you took his side, and of course you're going to side with him against a new supply. But I'll tell you one thing, just quickly. If you do what I did, you won't hear from them again. So the few times that my ex has tried to talk down his new supply to me or complain to me about his new supply, this is going back to before I actually cut him off, no contact. But the few times he tried that, I actually took her side. And I said to him things like, you cannot be hitting her. You cannot treat her like that. And he didn't like that. You know, that wasn't what he expected. He expected me to get on the phone and that I'd just say, oh, yeah, she deserves everything she gets because she's this, that, and whatever. And he expected for me to want him back, maybe, even. I think that's what they do. That's what a Hoover is, testing the waters. You know, seeing if they can go back around. But the thing is, if you let them come back around, that's not your happy ever after. That's just them coming back around to use you in the interim until they find new supply. Okay? And if that new supply doesn't work out, I can guarantee you they'll be back again, saying, "Oh no, you're the one that I love. You're the love of my life." These women mean nothing to me, right? I can guarantee you that is what you'll be told. Doesn't make it true. And I also can guarantee that as soon as they have new supply, they'll be off again. Because new supply always beats old supply because they haven't figured it out yet. It's a challenge. It's exciting. It feels, it feels like a brave, brand new world out there they've got to conquer. They feel like they're discovering something, or they feel like they're winning something or conning someone. They're getting the best out of someone, they're taking advantage, and that new person doesn't know they're a liar, doesn't know that they're a cheat and a con artist and that they're weak and that they're bullies. They don't know any of that stuff. So the new supply is looking up at them with the eyes of adoration and hanging off every word they say, and oh, you're amazing, and how could your ex-wife be so silly to let you go? Literally hanging on every single word because they just don't know any better. They think they're falling in love. They think what they're having is real. They don't know any better. That's all there is to it. So that will always trump the supply, the individual, the person who says, but I know who you are. And I know you're a bully. And I know that you say one thing and you do another. I know that you pretend to be a macho man, but you never actually get into fights with anyone. The only person you ever hit is women, or whatever it is that once you've been with them for an amount of time, you know things about them, the things about them that they don't want to think about. So this is why new supply will always trump old supply. And this is also why, if you're waiting for things to go head south with the new supply, if you're hoping that he's going to come back, I guarantee you he will, but it will be only a temporary pit stop, just to refuel, get what he wants and needs, keep you on the back burner while he's sourcing new supply. I mean, he's got to have someone who does his washing, gives him sex, feeds him. If you had to do all of that stuff while trying to work and get new supply, that makes life a little bit more challenging. But if you've got someone doing everything for you, and all you've got to do is go to work, and then you can have all this free time to source new supply, I mean, that's brilliant for a narcissist. That is brilliant. Okay? They don't have loyalty. They will use you. You are the only person that can put a stop to it. You've got to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, lovelies. You've got to stop believing that these people are real, because they're just not. There's not a genuine bone in their body. It's all lies, manipulations, cons, the whole thing from start to finish. That's all it's about. All right, lovelies, get narc free and stay narc free. Bye.